Good morning, everyone. Popping in for our usual Friday, well, it's Friday my time, live Sony rumours show and other news. Just waiting for everyone to pop in and have a quick chat before we start. I am going to do a timeline, guys, so you can skip if you want to. I'll stick the timeline down below. And also skip until you see the Osler Images logo, because I always start that at the beginning of the show anyway. I just want to give a minute or so, 2 minutes, just to get everyone on board. So I'm just saying hi to everyone that's actually here at the moment. So we've got Oreo, Tom's here, Gerald's here as well, Richard's here. Now, what's today's beer? So I've got Oreo, you're going to love this, Peroni. Nice Italian beer, I believe. So I'm going to crack this stubby with you guys today. So let me just do it. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, so that's easily enough, late enough to have a beer with you guys. So cheers, everyone. Mike said, bad timing just about now the AFL draft is about to start. Is that your football, is it, Mike? Well, people will probably watch it later on then if that's the case. We haven't got a clue about that over here. We have Australian rules over here, so yeah, we're not really into the NFL. Gene's made it as well. Jeffrey's here, Neil's here, Glenn is here. Oh, thank you so much, Glenn. I'm going to show you my latest shoot in a minute. I'm actually going to take you through that. That's right, Neil, it is 5 o'clock somewhere else, and that's really true, and that's why I can drink with you guys. So Dana said hi, so good to see you here. We're getting a stack on board. Guys, if you can too, I'd love you to give me a thumbs up. That gets more people over to actually see the shows live. Rod is also just popped in as well. I've got quite a few interesting stories to tell you guys today, so I'm looking forward to going through some of the news. Some weeks it's quiet. I don't know who that is. I'll just have to ignore them. Some weeks it's quiet, and other weeks it's really busy. This week it's actually quite good. That bell, if you hear it, there's someone ringing at the front of the house. I'm not going to go. We've got this thing called persimmon tree. It's a really interesting fruit, and people keep knocking on the door asking if they can take it. It's in my front yard. But yeah, they always ring every day. So if you do hear that, it's probably that. Or it could be some gear I've bought. I just don't know. The Panda Photographer's here. Pedro Sandra's here as well. Nathan saying, what's going on, Dave? Just talking with you guys today. And then I'm going to be doing some wedding editing after that. Rui's saying hi from Alabama as well. So we've got stacks of people now coming on board. Do you believe it? These people don't give up. I think they desperately want my fruit. Oh, it cracks me up. What else have we got? Glenn is also here saying he loves my work. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the Osler Images logo, and then we're going to actually start the show. So bear with me just for a second. G'day everyone, back for our weekly live show with you guys. We were just having a chat in the pre-show a second ago. Got stacks of people now getting on board, I've noticed, so please, like I said, if you can, give me a thumbs up if you're in the live show. I am going to come back to questions later on, so if you do want to get my attention, put at David Osler. That way I won't miss it. I'll try and answer all your questions though, so you can keep firing away. And I've left a special time at that for the end for you guys, where we can have a discussion about anything, open up all the questions about what I'm going to show you today, or also about any of the other things that you'd like to know as well. I am going to show you my latest shoot as well, just a brief, real quick overview of it, because I did give a sort of quick sneak peek yesterday of the location, so I'm just going to give a quick talk about that. And then we've got a stack of other things that we're going to go through as well. So it's going to be another long show. Again, that's what this show always is, the live show. So we're probably going to be here for an hour or so. If you can't stay for the whole thing, well, obviously you can watch it later on. And also, you can also check the timeline down below, which I'll post after this. So if you are more interested in certain topics, you can skip to those points as well, so you don't have to go through the whole show. So let's start with today's #1 story, and I'm going to take this and then we'll look at my shoot first, but I'm going to take you through this thing first because I thought this was a really interesting rumour that Sony basically, let me just enlarge this, there's rumours now going, it's an SR5, There's rumours going around that there is now a new serial number or registered camera number for Sony, and it's basically the code. What was they saying? The code there is WW771132. And according to Sony Alpha rumours, they're actually saying that they think it's probably going to be the a7S3 or an a6-700. Oreo just said he loves my long shows. Thanks, Oreo. So what do you guys think about that? Because it's interesting that it's probably going to be the a7S3. Now that's what I believe. Or Sony just could pull something out of their hat and give us the a6-700. I mean, I'm not sure which way to go. To be honest, the camera that I'm really waiting on at this stage is something that will give me 4K 60p. I'm dying for something in that area. Now, whether that's the a7S3 or whether it's an a6-700, I really am looking forward to Sony giving us that 4K 60p. The other thing that I am really hoping too that they give us is that articulating screen. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but one of the things I'm starting to think though is that I'm wondering what they're going to give us if they give us a new a6-700, because the a7 III is so good. What can Sony give us in an a6-700 that would make people buy that rather than step up to the full frame a7 III? It could be that they give an articulating screen in that camera, and that might be one thing where they target the a6-700 or the a7000, whatever that's going to be, at vloggers. And that really would be something that would interest me. I'd love to get something that I could just you know, grab that screen, articulate it around, and then be able to see myself from the front. It's one thing I do miss now that I've sold my GH5. So I'm hoping that they bring something like that out. Now, I'm not sure which one I'd buy of these two cameras, the a7S III or the a6-700, if they both offered 4K 60p. So I'm not sure what they'll offer in those two cameras. Open it up in the chat too, because I will come back later on to discuss whether you think that they'll add an articulating screen to say something like the a7S III, or do you believe it would just be on the a6-700 or the a7000? I probably think that the a6-700 would have the articulating screen and the a7S III won't, but that's just what I think may happen. That way they'll try and target all of these vloggers to go back to that a6-700 just for that feature alone, and I think people would buy that. I'd buy that alone just for that articulating screen. So let me know what you think about that. But you know, and I'd still be happy if they gave me, like I said, 3 minutes or whatever, 2 minutes of 4K 60p. That's enough for me to shoot what I need in things like weddings and these dance shoots that I do, because I'm only shooting for 10, 15 seconds at the most. So I'd still be happy with an a6-700 that would give me 2 minutes of 4K footage at 60p. That would be enough for me. So Sony, if you do watch this, I'd love you to add something like that to something like an a6-700. Also, if I could run the a6-700 on a gimbal and use 4K 60p, that would be even better. So that's really what I'm hoping to get in that camera. But anyway, there is now a new number that's released. So hopefully soon. Now they're saying in this discussion that from our sources, they're saying that the new a6-500 and a7S III successor is coming, while we haven't heard about any new RX yet. And it's probably still going to be a little bit away, because I think they're saying that it's still usually a couple of months away. Yeah, there you go. It says there, the a7S III or the a6-700, usually it takes about 2 months to see the camera announced after that serial number or that code has been announced. So we've still got a bit of a way to go yet, and I've got a feeling it's probably going to be Photokina. Also, it may be something that Sony will combat the Nikon mirrorless and Canon mirrorless, and I'll also talk about a little bit later when we go through this discussion, because I want to talk to you about that as well, because they're also upcoming cameras that are coming out too. So anyway, put in the comments. I'll come back and we can discuss that in the live chat later on. Apart from that, we're going to move on. So I'm just going to put down the timer, because I'm going to keep this updated so I can at least let you guys not have to go through the whole thing if you don't want to. So the next thing I wanted to actually show you was the latest shoot, and I thought what we'd do is have a look at just like a sneak peek of yesterday's shoot. Let me just bring this down, and we'll move it around a little bit. All right, so I said yesterday that I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek. Now, these basically are straight out of camera, guys. They've only had the minute bit of editing done in Lightroom. So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek of the video that I'm actually going to post in the coming days. So this isn't going to take very long because I just thought I'd share this with you. And again, I've worked with the lovely Kiara. I'm having such a great time working with Kiara. She's just such a wonderful young girl. I really enjoy her personality. She just cracks me up. So we worked together again yesterday. We did a couple of shoots that you'll see in the coming days. This one was the inside this old abandoned building that if you want to check, you can check that out down below. There's another video that I just posted yesterday actually from the location where we shot. It was so good in this location. You can just see my pro photo is up in the right hand corner. So I have lit her against this background. I've exposed for the ambient, and I'm going to take you through this whole shoot later, so I'm not going to spend much time. I just wanted to give you a real sneak peek, basically, of this area. We also then went to shoot outside in this the outside location. Again, I love these sort of images, and like I said, these are basically just straight out of camera. You can see they're all shot with the a7 III. This was just natural light, because I wanted to try natural light as against flash. The next one, I believe, had the flash, and you'll see the difference here. Yeah, this has had the flash actually start to come in. There's a little bit more separation there than the flat. The natural light tends to look a little bit flatter than when I've actually attached the flash, which was on the left of the camera here. Again, I just love these images and the way they're going to go. This is only a real quick selection. I just grabbed a few to actually show you. Another one here is using the 85 now. Now, these ones here were more environmental, so they're using the 35, which, again, you guys know I love. I also matched, and then I changed to the 85 to give a bit more of that compression in the background. Again, it's got lovely separation in the background here, and I keep getting people talking about the eye autofocus saying they're not sharp. Well, I can tell you all the images that I took yesterday, they were using just face detect often and eye detect, and I've got no problem with the eye autofocus on these cameras. It's nailing the eye autofocus every time I do it. The next shot I love. Other people are going to say there's too much hair across Kiara's face, but I adore this image, and I'm going to probably work on this one today. I love the way that hair is coming across the face there naturally just from wind blowing. And I think it really matches that sort of setting, and I really love that as well. You know, and I just adore that image. Let me just check, is that... Oh, it is cutting it off actually. I don't know why that's doing that. Someone just said it's cutting off the image. Oh, there we go. Let me come back and I'll just show you these images again. I don't know why it did that. It was something with the preview, didn't update. So I'll just show you these again. This was the natural light one that I shot outside. And then this one here was the flash one that I actually showed. It's given that little bit of separation. I think the sun also came out here too, so it's a bit hard to tell what the flash was actually offering, but it did light her up a little bit better than the natural light one. That was using the 85 Batis, you can see here. Again, like I was showing the eye detect before. And again, these haven't been sharpened yet, so these are just straight out of the camera. So they'll sharpen up heaps once I take them into Photoshop and add some sharpening. This was the one that I said I adored. I love the hair, like I said, coming across her face here. I really do love this one. And again, remember, this is always art. This is artistic. Others are going to say you can't see her face. And I know that's probably what will happen when I post this. But I adore that image. I think it's very natural. It just happened in the spur of the moment. The wind just took it away, and I just shot away, and I love it. We then went indoors again, and we did some images as well. This was shot with the 85 Batis at 1.8 as well. That was also shot with the 85, so we moved into the indoor location. This was all natural light at this stage. I'm just using window light that's coming off to the side there. Again, this is also used natural light coming in off the side as well. Again, I love that shadow that's coming in across her face, but like I said, I'll take you through this as a shoot, and you'll see the live video done of this anyway, because I've got this on video. So you'll be seeing this coming up in the coming days. And that's another one that I like too. It's just a bit grungy. I love the look on her face. You know, she looks like she's got a bit of attitude in this one. I love that as well. So that's the shoot anyway. All right, so let's keep moving on. I'm just going to bring up the next story, which is 1526. 1528. We're going to go back to here now. So let me just move this back over. And we're going to look at this, because this is really interesting as well. So Tamron now have got, well, basically what they're saying is that it's got now a price. This is the 28 to 75 lens, and they're saying that it's going to be $799. And I'm wondering if this lens is as good as what people are saying it's going to be. Sony may have to adjust their pricing a little bit, because you think of the price difference between this, which is $799. That's the B&H price. It's going to be listed, I believe. It's saying just down here, that its lens will be priced at $799 in USA, and it's listed here in B&H. Let me just have a look. Open a new window. So I'm just going to open up the B&H link. I'm not sure whether they mention the price in here, though. So I'm not sure where they got that price from. No, it's just saying it's new listing, it's coming soon. Now, I think where they're getting the pricing from, if you look at this, is because it was listed in Sweden. Our reader spotted the pricing at Sweden at Cyber Photo, he writes. Now, let me just open that up and just see if that comes up. Bear with me just while this opens. Now that's, I suppose that, I'm not sure what that is. Is that Swedish money? 8690. So someone in the live chat may know exactly how that converts over. I'm not sure whether that was the conversion that it was mentioned here, but from the early reports that I've seen, this lens is meant to be really good, meant to be really nice and sharp. It's got a good focal range. I mean, that 28 to 75 is really nice, and it is a prime lens that, well, I shouldn't say prime, but it's a staple lens that wedding photographers use with the 70 to 200. It's probably not one that I would ever use, because like I said, I love prime so much, but people that do love zooms, I might try and get this and test it though, but people that love zooms may really love this lens, and the price, if that is the price that that's coming in at, that is an amazing lens for that price if the quality is there like what they're saying it is. So we still have to wait for the reviews to come out, the full reviews for this testing. But so I'm not sure when they're saying, I did think that I saw it when it was meant to be released. It wasn't that far off, I don't think. No, it's not saying. I heard somewhere that it was May, late May, I heard. But anyway, that's an interesting rumour anyway, so it is coming, and it's going to be coming fairly soon. Oh yeah, there you go, that's the thing down there, so I didn't need to open that other page. It's showing that Swedish pricing there, I believe. Anyway, $799 is pretty good deal. Yeah, that's equal to about 1,000 United States dollars, Kyle, is it? Well, that's interesting. All right, so let's keep going. So I'm going to bring up this next story, which is 1850. Oh, it's 19 actually. 05. Wasabi have brought up a problem with their batteries, that they're not working, and I don't know whether anyone on the live chat and put it in there, and I will, like I said, I'll come back to that, but I'll be really interested to know whether some of these Wasabi batteries are malfunctioning, because they're saying in here that I think they're going to recall them. But they were getting reports from many readers saying that the battery is not working since the Blue Nook removed the pre-order option. Oh, I see. So they've taken the pre-order option out, so perhaps no one's actually got it yet. I'm not sure. But they're saying it's an incompatible battery. Down here, if you read the small text around here, someone has said, purchase one of these to test. My review in my Sony books. When inserted into the camera, I received incompatible battery using the correct model message. So it looks like there's some incompatibilities with these batteries. Now, to be honest, I don't think I'd purchase these at that price, $47.99. I do think that I would pay the extra money to get the original battery from Sony. Now, there's two reasons why that's important for me. You may have different feelings on this, and you might think that that saving is okay, but I've actually seen problems with these batteries. I actually did a shoot with Jason Lanier. I was in one of his workshops here, and he tried to get one of the Wasabi batteries out of his camera, and it had swollen inside his camera, and it took him ages to get it out of his camera. Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time, but having a professional business, I don't want any issues with any of these things that go on. I did buy third-party batteries for my A7S and the A7 II and the A7R II. The problem is, though, I've found that I bought these batteries after I bought the Sony batteries, and they've already died. They're basically losing their charge now very quickly. So I think there is the potential that they don't last as long as what the Sony batteries do. The Sony batteries that I've got for the A7R II, etc., are still as good as the day that I got them, but I have had to replace a number of batteries after 12 months where they just die all of a sudden. So they're things I think that possibly could happen. Now, I know the last time I said this, a lot of you said you had no problems using them, and then, well, that's fine for you. Just for me, I think I'd prefer to pay that little bit extra and know that I'm getting the Sony quality and getting the Sony name brand batteries, but that's just for me. Some of you may differ in that, but let me know too in the comments down below whether you found that to be the case. Are you going to buy these third-party batteries, or are you just going to stick with the Sony batteries that are you know, a little bit more expensive? I think they're about $20 US extra, but let me know what you think about that. So that's an interesting discussion that we can have there as well. The next story is 2214. So the next story I want to go through is this, because this is a really interesting one as well. There's some new E-mount batteries that are announced, and I think these are the full frame ones, reading them, because I did read somewhere, when I see E-mount often I think it's just for the APS-C, but I'm pretty sure that these are the full frame E-mount lens. Now, the 10-18, if you are interested in a really beautiful zoom, this probably would give it to you. The only thing is it's a variable zoom though. So let me know what you think about that too, because, you know, I'm just curious as well what you think about that. Cheers, by the way. But I know these lenses are stunning lenses. They're Venus Optics. And they are really quite a gorgeous looking lens. Now, they are manual focus, so you're not going to get autofocus, but like I said, for a wide angle lens, that's never going to be an issue. This could be a really nice lens if you wanted to use it on a gimbal, if you wanted to just manually focus and just keep your distance. And again, for other things, there's probably zero distortion. Knowing what these lenses are like, there's probably zero distortion on these lenses, and they probably are quite stunning. I use the 10-18 APS-C lens all the time on my full frame lenses, and I use it on the gimbal all the time on Super 35 mode, and it is a really good lens, and I can use that from about 12, as the lens is, about 12 to 16, so it is really quite wide. But if you did want to go for a wide angle lens that you weren't worried about the variable aperture, the 10-18 may be really nice. The other one too is the 100 macro there as well. Maybe a lovely lens if you're dealing with macro. I do nearly always use manual focus on macro shots anyway. So, you know, let me know too what you think about these lenses, whether they interest you or not. But having a look at that, I wanted to bring up this other lens that I wanted to talk to you about, which is 25. Which is this one, which was just announced. Now, this really does sort of interest me. I'd love to test this lens out. Having used the 0.95 on my Panasonic lens, this could be a stunning lens to actually try if you were really working in dark environments, or you wanted that, you know, really beautiful depth of field, because this is a 75mm at 0.95. The depth of field on this is going to be nuts. It is seriously going to be gorgeous probably, and I'd love to try this lens alone just to try that out. And, you know, if you're looking at the design of this, it's just beautiful. I mean, it is a stunning looking lens. Again, this is going to be manual focus. You must be able to get it in the black and silver. I'm not sure whether the Sony version will have black and silver. But they've been around since the 1920s. You know, I mean, they are beautiful lenses. And again, I would expect the optics of this lens to be first rate. And it's certainly something that I would love to try. To imagine shooting at 75mm at 0.95, I just love to try that just to see what it gives me. Working, sort of doing street photography or model shoots at night with the lights in the background, working with this would be gorgeous. Let me know what you think about that anyway. I just thought I'd bring that up. They're not giving any announcement date yet. It's a 15-blade steel aperture. Anti-reflection coating, ideal for portrait photography in difficult lighting conditions. Now remember too, your Sony's focus better. Well, this won't matter because it's manual. I was going to say the Sony lenses focus better with fast glass, but this will be a manual lens anyway. What else does it say? Creates three-dimensional appearance, separating the subject from the background. Anyway, I'm not sure if they mention when it's going to be released. It will be a gorgeous video lens, though. If you want to do manual focusing for video, it will be stunning. And it's 750 grams, so not too heavy. Oh, now the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, that's why I wanted to bring this down. They're also talking about bringing a 35mm lens as well, which will probably be the 0.95 as well. Now that could be another lens that I may be really interested in having a look at for video, because as you guys know, I love the 35 length. Now, these are two lenses that I would love to rent and hire when they come out, because as you know, I love the 35 and I love the 85 length as well. So these two lenses both fit in that area. So if I could have both of these lenses for very dark, moody conditions where I can use that aperture, you know, it would be stunning. But check this out. Down the bottom down here, it's saying the 75, oh, it does give it a launch date, is expected to launch in May 2018 with a price tag of $4,220. It's pretty expensive. But early birds will be able to snag it at a special price of €2,300 or €1,899. The 0. Oh, so that's, wow, that is a big saving. So instead of paying $3,499, you can actually get it at $1,899. That's an amazing saving. So if you were going to pay for this lens, I don't think I would at this stage. It's certainly something that I'd like to rent and try it and just see how it goes, but I'm not sure how soon we'll be able to get them out here. But anyway, I wanted to discuss that with you. So let's go on to the next story. Which is the Canon and Nikon rumours. So I noticed this appeared this morning on Petapixel. They're saying that the Nikon Pro mirrorless camera is coming along at a rapid pace, and they expect it to launch within a year. It's still a long time out, though. I really don't know why they've been holding out so long on this, and this is what I'm going to discuss with you after we go to the Canon one, because I'd love to know your thoughts on this. But what they're saying is, they're just saying it appears that Sony was right and that Nikon and Canon are furiously working to bring professional full-frame mirrorless cameras to the market. And they're saying that they believe that Nikon is planning on bringing the camera at Photokina. So that's where you'll view it at 218 at Photokina. And also Canon are too, and I'll talk about that in a minute with you guys. Canon stated last month that it's now willing to cannibalise the sales of the digital SLR cameras to make a bigger splash in mirrorless. Well, I'll believe that when I see it. But they're also saying down here that because of the A9 and the a7 III, Canon and Nikon are finally stirring from their slumber. Now, the next story back here is Canon. So I just wanted to bring this up to your attention as well, that Canon are actually saying in here that they've confirmed that the camera is already well into its development cycle. So they're saying that's already there, and it won't be as long as we thought before it's released. And a little bit further down, it's just saying Canon has already handed out copies of the camera to pros and testing and sending surveys out to these people to see how they can make this camera better. And it's just saying, I'm very confident we're going to see something announced before the end of Q1 in 2019 at Photokina development announcement at Photokina in September. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, look, I just don't know. If they're still talking about 12 months away, it just amazes me that Canon and Nikon have left it so long to get into this game. Now, there's a few things that are still going to have to be answered to this, and I suppose this is really hard for people that may be thinking about switching over. And, you know, do I now wait and see what Canon and Nikon have to offer? The part that would worry me, I suppose, in this is that Nikon have never ever, particularly Nikon have never ever showed anything in their cameras where the autofocus particularly has been any good in video. And I'm not sure that it's possible for this development to have increased that fast that they're going to be able to offer something in their mirrorless camera that is going to give you autofocus that will match anything like what say Sony or Canon could give. So that's going to be an interesting thing from Nikon's perspective, and I still think you're going to probably have to wait 2 to 3 years from the Nikon side of it to give anything that would be reasonably any good. Now, again, you can discuss this with me in the chat or in the comments down below, but I still can't see Nikon being able to pull the rabbit out of the hat and give you something that could compete with Sony on that level. Now, so that sort of talks about Nikon's perspective with this. Well, let's look at Canon's perspective with this. Well, the Canon side of it, and I don't believe that they're going to say that they're going to allow sales to drop from their digital SLRs, and I don't believe that for 1 second, because they would have already done it, and they haven't done it. They've always crippled their cameras, and I still think that's probably going to happen. Now, having said that, if they don't do it, it's probably going to be priced between $6,000 to $7,000, because I think that's the way that Canon think. They're probably going to hope that if they offer this high-end mirrorless camera, that the Canon people they've got at the moment aren't going to jump ship. But they're still talking about 12 months down the line. Now, in that time, you're also going to have the a7S III will be announced, and you probably will have by then an A9 or an A10 or whatever that will be out. You'll probably get something like an A9S2 or whatever as well, because clearly Sony are also going to have a crack at this as well. If they see that Canon are going to produce this type of camera, well, I can guarantee you that Sony will have something in the works already that they're going to announce. So you're probably going to find that, again, they're going to be leapfrogged when these announcements are made, with Sony bringing out something again as well. Now, some are going to accuse me of being a Sony fanboy. I'm just telling you about how I've seen it. And I just don't think that Canon are going to give you everything, bells and whistles, and take away money from their C200s or whatever they're trying to sell in their upper areas. They could produce a really good mirrorless camera though, Canon, because their focusing is really good. The dual pixel focusing is still amazing, and it really is a great focusing system. So they clearly have the technology to do that, but we don't know how they're going to adapt their lenses. We don't know what's going to happen on that side of it, and we don't know whether they are going to offer everything that they're offering in their digital SLR cameras, and therefore they would just all of a sudden stop being sold. So let me know in the discussion anyway, because it is a really interesting 12 months ahead of us, I think, what we're going to actually get. I really do believe that Sony will probably announce the a7S III at Photokina, which is probably the same time that Canon and Nikon are also going to announce their pre-production models. But the thing is, Sony will probably announce the a7S III in Photokina, and that will be released before Christmas. You won't get, I don't think you will get a Canon or Nikon mirrorless camera until sometime next year. So if you're still thinking about swapping it, there's always this waiting that, you just think, well, what's going to happen? I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but I just wanted to bring that up to you in the discussion, because it really is an interesting discussion. And we'll have a chat about that in a minute, I would say. The last thing before we open up to questions is 35, 34. Is I just noticed this has happened over the coming days, that SmugMug has bought Flickr. Now, I used to use Flickr a lot, and I still have an active Flickr account. When I say active, it's still there, but I haven't posted to Flickr in probably 12 months. I just stopped doing it, so I don't use that anymore. I now use 500px as the site that I basically share to more often. So I'm not using Flickr at all. There was always that worry that with what happened to Yahoo that, you know, that it was going to basically disappear, but I just noticed that SmugMug have bought it. SmugMug used to be, I suppose they are still pretty big in web page authoring and stuff like that and photo sharing. I did have a SmugMug account years ago, but I cancelled it. And like I said, I still do have a Flickr account, but I haven't posted it for ages. And the reason why I let it go was that unknown about, you know, what was going to happen with Flickr. But I did just notice that they're saying that they are really going to support it. So if you are into Flickr, the future is looking a little bit brighter than what it used to look. So at least that now, you know, is there as well. Guys, now we've got nearly 70 watching. I'd love you to give me a big thumbs up if you could, please. It does get people over, so I'd love you to share that for me if you could. So please, if you can, give me a big thumbs up. And that's really all I wanted to talk to you about that. Let me know if anyone is still using Flickr extensively in the live chat. We'll go through that in a minute. And also down in the description box down below. We can have a chat about that too later on if you're not watching this live, because I'd love to, you know, have a chat with you about that as well. So let's now open up questions. I'm just going to put down here 3625. All right, so let's come back here, and I'm going to bring this back. Cheers, everyone. Not bad, that Peroni Oreo. So I'm just going to go back to where everyone's saying hi early on. Panda Photographer said, just about to post a new video. Jeffrey said, I've been thinking of updating my Canon 5D to mirrorless, but we'll wait and see what Canon's going to offer. What do you think? Well, basically, that's interesting. What you've just said there, Jeffrey, because I just discussed that with you. You're in a tough position. To be honest, you're in a better position with Canon, I think, than you are with Nikon. I'm not 100% certain how Nikon will go with their mirrorless in the fact of having that autofocus problem that they've never been able to solve. So I'm not sure. The other advantage is if you did want to move over to Sony, Jeffrey, that you have got the ability to use the Canon lenses with full autofocus on the Sony cameras now with something like the MC11 adapter. So you have got that benefit there already. Alex is saying hi from Sydney. G'day, Alex. Oreo, I love long shows. I watch them while I'm in my gallery. Thanks, Oreo. Neil said, David, what is it you would use 4K? Well, I use it for slow motion, Neil. I use it all the time. When you're looking at the videos of Chiara that I've been doing recently, nearly all of them are shot in 4K 60, so I have that ability to slow her down in slow motion. I also like to use it in weddings extensively to slow-mo the bride walking down the aisle and do different things like that. So it's an important thing for me to have, and I really do want to have it. Gerald said, I think I will be... Let me just clear this questions thing. Gerald said, I think I will be the A6700 with 4K 60p and then wait for to smash Canon and Nikon full-frame mirrorless with the A7S III. Yeah, and you may be right, Gerald. I still think that they'll probably be all released at Photokina. I've just got a feeling that's probably what's going to happen. Gerald said the A6700 I think will have the articulating screen, and I also believe that's possibly the case now. Like I said, they have to make that A6700 different enough from the A7S, the A7 III, and that's the thing, because that camera is a killer camera. I love using that camera. The only thing it misses really for me personally is that articulating screen. So if they brought out an A6700 with that articulating screen, that would sell like hotcakes. Oreo said, I think you're right about the A6700 with articulating screen and the A7S III not. Yeah, I don't think the A7S III will have it. I really don't. Peter's just saying hello. Yeah, people were talking about not seeing a face. There was something wrong with the software I was using. I updated it anyway. Thomas just said hello from California. Kyle said he's a bit late. You can always go back and watch it a little bit later, Kyle. Lance said, I love the location, and Chiara, new Mark III and lens 85 1.8 came today. Woohoo! Lucky you, Lance. You're going to love it. It's a Sony 1.8. You're going to love that lens too. It's beautiful. Gerald just said, congratulations, Lance, loving my a7 III too. Gerald Williams said, great colour match of her blouse in the background. I know, that's what I said when we were trying to choose the actual outfits, and I actually had that. Let me just bring that up so I can show you. When we had that colour lens, I love the shading of the colour lens there with the thing. It's interesting because, looking there, it looks like it's got patterns, but it's not showing on the screen. It's just the screen there. So if you are seeing a moray on YouTube, it's only the this program showing it. Yeah, so it was beautiful. I love the way her that top matches that background. Like I said, you're only seeing these two straight out of camera, so don't go looking at, you know, exposure or anything at this stage. These haven't been edited at all. So like I always show with you guys, I don't show you fake work or whatever. I like to show you real stuff as well as retouch work. So let me just come back to here. Lance said, thanks, the battery is still charging. The battery charger, I've got this battery charger because I bought the A9. The battery's charged really fast in that battery charger, like probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes. When do you think the A7S III will show? I think per Photokina. I think that's what's going to happen, JP. So JP also said, what's better for wedding video needs? Would you use the A7S III as your main and A7S III for B-roll, or A7R III with A7 III for B-roll? Oh, okay. Well, if I had the A7S III and I was shooting video, I would use the A7S as my main camera, yeah, and the A7 III would be B-roll, yes. That's how I would use that. And that's probably what I'll do. When the A7S III is released, I'll probably buy that camera. As long as it has what I need, which is 4K 60p and things, hoping for internal NDs and things like that. I hope Sony blow us away. To be honest, I don't need any better light performance than what I'm getting with the A7 III or the A9. I can easily shoot up to 6400 with those cameras without really any noise at all in video, and I never go over that. So I'm quite comfortable with the noise now that these cameras give me. So noise to me is not such a big deal. But the other things like the 4K 60p, an internal ND would be insane if Sony can offer us that. But I think, yeah, that would be the ideal situation if you're shooting video, is to have an A7S III as your main camera and then an A7 III as your B-roll camera. It would probably work that way with me with video alone. And then for the stills, I'll be using my A9 as my main camera, and I'll use the A7 III as my second camera. And I've still got the A7R2, remember, I can use as well. Kyle said that's equal to about, yeah, that we're talking about that lens, the Tamron lens. Thanks, Kyle. Oreo said, price is great, but even greater is the portability compared to the Mammoth G Master. I know it is. It's much smaller than that, Oreo. If it does match like what they're saying it is, Sony are probably going to have to do something in pricing, because that is really a good price for that. I mean, it's not. Some people are going to say it's not cheap. It's still $1,000, but it's still way cheaper than the G Master one. Look at the shirts Google is advertising. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, was that on one of those ads, was it? Yeah. Kyle said, I've been using the Power Extra version of the MP FZ100. They've been working wonderfully. And I did find that, Kyle, though, that's the thing with those third-party batteries. I find they work wonderful, and all of a sudden, and I tried a few different versions, all of a sudden they would die and they wouldn't charge. Or I'd be shooting them, they'd show 100% charge, and then they'd just die to nothing. And I've never had that happen with the Sony batteries, and I'm not personally willing to have that happen, so I just don't buy them anymore. Like I said, everyone else is different in what they want to do. What else have we got? Bobby G said, is the Canon 80D still valid? Yes, of course it is. It'll still shoot as good photos today as the day you got it. It just depends on whether you need the features in the new cameras to upgrade, Bobby. JP said, you know what is really crap from Sony? The G Glass SD cards, brand new 128 UHS2, corrupted database in 2 days. Wow, that's interesting, JP. I had a problem with one of the Sony cards too. It corrupted. I've got a new one that was sent to me, and I've never had an issue since. So I usually do use SanDisk, and I've never ever had an issue with those. But I must admit, the new Sony card only had a problem once, but that's the only card I've ever had an issue with. I've never had an issue since with the card. So, and I'm using the, I've got the A9 here. Yeah, I'm using in my A9, those ones. And it seems to be fine. Like, I haven't had another issue since. Now, remember, it could have been disastrous, I suppose, if I had one slot, but I had two slots. They're backing up, so I always had the second slot. So it really is not that much of a big issue anymore if you're running dual card slots, and that's one big benefit with having dual card slots. JP said, seems very common with G cards based on Amazon reviews. Okay, that's interesting. Gerald said, I have good results with the Wasabi FW50 batteries, but I will wait until these Z batteries are sorted. Yep, I already have 4 Sony. Yeah, I've got 6, and I've found that's ample for running 2 cameras, even with shooting video. They're very good, those batteries. Gerald said, for macro, I'm waiting on the Sigma Art E-mount 70. Yeah, that interests me too, Gerald. I'd like to try that one day. I'll be buying that lens to test it out as well. Zeiss, the Ziza, I think 68 said, the 10 to 18 can be used from 10mm in FE to 27 in crop mode. Yep. And it's actually great for real estate photography because the resolution doesn't matter at all. It's only low light that may be an issue with that. You know, like having the f4 instead of lower if you're dealing with very dimly lit real estate. But I still have no doubt that it will be a beautiful lens. Peter said, I've been using 2 128GB Sony cards the last 2 months and they've been great. Ben's here saying, what's up? Oreo said, I have the Nikon Speedmaster 50. 0.95. It is a beautiful lens. I use it at a wedding for some portraits and it delivered beautiful images. But to pick correct focus is a challenge. Yeah, it is, especially at that aperture. I used to love that 10mm, but see, 10mm is a lot different than using a 50 because that depth of field is nowhere near as shallow. Jeffrey said they have left it too late. Sony may be the better option while Canon irons out the early faults. Yeah, and that's probably one of the things I think too. They possibly have left it too late. Gerald said Sony will continue to take away consumers if these Canon and Nikon releases won't be on sale till 2019. And that's the thing, I think they will, and I just don't understand why they're taking so long. You know, and Kyle has said there too, which is interesting, that it took 3 product generations to really define their design. Yeah, you think how much Sony have improved since the A7 release was out. So it has taken that generation to improve. So you're probably going to find the same thing's going to happen with the Canon and Nikon cameras. Peter said, I hope Nikon makes a large digital SLR size mirrorless. We have enough smaller ILCs now. And that's a good comment, Peter. If you love big cameras, a lot of people would adore that. I personally prefer the really small ones. I adore the Sony size. And Gerald's right. It would allow their current lenses to be used. Oreo said, I can't really imagine how Canon would make a full-frame mirrorless that can compete with the A7 Mark III. Their only chance is to make it fully usable with their digital SLR lenses to take advantage of that base. And that is one thing that Canon and Nikon have. They have a massive lens base out there that they could, you know, use. And I think either way, we're all winners out of this. If Canon and Nikon bring out great gear, all it's going to mean is that Sony have to produce better gear. We all win from it, and I hope that happens. Lance said, do you charge in battery? No, I use the battery charger, Lance, but I got one with the A9, so I just use that. And I've only got the one charger. I've found that's enough to charge 6 batteries because it charges so fast. I've never used the in-charging ones. I just don't like to plug things into the cameras because it's just one thing that can make the camera break. I hate to do anything like that where they're all attached to the motherboard, and I just don't like to do it, so I never do it, no. Lance said, thumbs up, people. Yeah, thanks, Lance. There are more people now thumbed up. Please give me a thumbs up, guys. Jose said, big thumbs up. Thank you, Jose, for doing that. Really appreciate it. Neil said, I watched another video today stating that Nikon lost 94 million in its medical field with the previous problems. I wonder how hard this will hit them. Well, it's all going to hit them. Canon are a bit better off because they're a lot broader in their market, so they can take losses more like that. Oh, by the way, too, there's another one here talking about autofocus. Yesterday, late last night, I posted a video about the focusing modes for the Sony cameras. So please check that out, because if you're wondering which focus mode you would use and why, I've put a video on discussing all of the focusing modes yesterday. So check that out. It's the previous video I posted, guys. Harold said, Gene said, love the IAF on Sony cameras. Also 6K, 5K to 4K downsampling. Yeah, it does. It makes the image so sharp. Not even sure if Nikon and Canon can compete. Harold said, I have the 16 to 35 f4 and the 85 1.8. I love the 16 to 35. I used that a lot yesterday. No, I didn't use it yesterday. I used it in the wedding on the weekend. And the 85 1.8, I love that lens. Thinking about my next prime, 35 2.8 or 50. Well, I'd go for the 35, Harold. If I was you, I'd get something a little bit wider. But rather than the 35 2.8, you might be, say, get the Tamron or the Samyang lens, the 35 1.4 could be an option too. I also have the 35 2.8 and I love it, but you may want to look at something a bit faster. You'd have to make a decision on that. There's nothing wrong with the 35 2.8 though. I have Canon lens and lighting now. Dave saying hello from Singapore. Carl said I'm buying the 16 Mark III. Jose said, when Canon crippled the 5D Mark IV, I looked at Sony and the... Yeah, no, I just can't believe they cripple the cameras so much. It's crazy. How much lighter is the body and the lens on the Sony? Well, it's much lighter. I'm telling you, the Sony bodies are way lighter, and I'm not using the G Master lenses, so all the lenses I'm using are lighter, so it is a lighter system, definitely, and it makes a difference with my back, I'm telling you. Is there a release date for the Tamron? I'm not sure, though. I've heard late next month. Mick said, I can see the a7S III bringing built-in ND filters. Oh, I hope so, Mick, and I love that. I really do hope that's something that they will build. That would be stunning if they do that. JP said, GM line tends to be heavier. They are, and that's the reason why I haven't bought the GM lenses. Mick said, if that happens, maybe I can make back money selling my current 3, 6, 10, 15 stop ND filters. I've got so many ND filters. I should sell some, actually. I love the ND. I love this, though. This ND filter, I'm telling you, is stunning. This ProMaster one. This one. That's what I've been using. And honestly, this lens... This 50mm lens on the a7 III, where are we, is the best lens. That's what I used in that autofocusing demonstration that I did yesterday. I also had this filter on it, the ProMaster. Please, if you want to buy any of this stuff, if you are from the US or whatever, have a look at the Amazon links that I put below, because at least I get a little kickback. That's the only sort of money I make on these. But I've got that lens, this ProMaster ND filter listed as well. This is stunning, this filter. It's about $90 US. They're not cheap though. But remember, you get what you pay for. And using that on the 55 is fantastic. You know, it's nice and small. The quality is brilliant. Focusing and everything was fantastic through it. And it's giving me those lovely video results that you're checking out with Kiara. And definitely the 55 is definitely now my favourite lens that I can use on video. I love it. It works fantastic on a gimbal as well. I've been using the Mozzie Air with that. What else have we got? Izar said, what do you think about the Sigma 16? That's a great lens for the Sony a6000. Yeah, that's a great lens, that Sigma 16. Charger comes with 2 batteries. No, not the Sony one. It's only one. You can buy double chargers though. There's third-party chargers. Kyle said, are you using one of your Sony cameras as a webcam for streaming? Yes, I'm using the a6500 here to stream. And it's got the 24 1.8 lens on it, Kyle. So that's what I'm using now. And it's on center focus. Like if you go through those modules I used yesterday, you'll understand what I'm saying. I'm using center focus on that, with, and it's got the 24 1.8, which I adore. That gives me the 35mm depth of field, and I'm using the a6500 on autofocus, and it's quite quick. You know, like when you look at it, you know, if I bring something up, it'll be, you know, yeah, it's good. And that's just the A6500. JP said, same here, no issues ever with SanDisk. How was the RMA process, David, regarding the G? Fantastic. Sony just contacted me. I sent it in to, I thought it was the camera that failed, actually. I sent the camera back. They told me it was the card. They sent me the camera back. It was a Sony professional service. And then they sent me another card in a few days. So, yeah, it was a fantastic process. And I sent the card off. They sent the card off to Sony for testing, so they may have done some testing on that as well. Creative Films is saying, hi. Hello, anyone know if you can record 4K simultaneously with two UHS-1? I haven't tried it, so I don't know. Someone may be able to say in here. Gerald said, I bought two of the Sony cards and they have been fine. Yeah, the second one has been fine for me and I've had it for a few months. Battery adapter kit, yes, you could buy that adapter kit. I'm just happy with the battery that I've got, charger from the Sony A9. Gerald said, JP said, I bought it on the Amazon US corrupted image database on the second day. Yeah, and I've never had that corrupted database though. Lance said, I'll get the charger in, camera charger sucks, and that's why I don't do it. Plus, guys, I really don't recommend it because it's just another thing. If you break that charger, you can affect the camera, and it's not worth using. It's definitely better to go and buy a third-party charger or the Sony charger. What else have we got? I always charge my F50Z batteries outside the camera. Yep, I'm the same. I never charge internally. Anyone here using the 12 to 24? No, but I've heard it's a great lens, JP. Kyle said, Howard, as long as you have both Class 3 UHS-1, you can record simultaneously. Okay, thanks for that. What else have we got? Harold said, yeah, I might save up and get the Rockion Samyang 35. Yeah, I probably would. I'd get the 1.4 version. Definitely. If you want to run on a gimbal or something like that, though, the 35 2.8 is great because it's lovely and small. And I do love that lens for street photography. But having said that, and I do love that lens, I'll take it for travel. But having said that, my favourite is the Sony 35 1.4. But that's way more expensive than the Rockion Samyang one. Kyle said, what software are you using for your computer to recognise your camera? I'm using Webcast. It's not cheap, though. I'm using Webcast Pro. Ken said, do you activate the APS-C 35 mode, shoot mode, when filming with the a7 III? No, I've never used it yet. I'm just using full frame. But no, I don't. If I put the 10 to 18 on it, it would automatically activate because I've got it on auto. But I very rarely use the APS-C lenses on it, Ken. So I'm mostly shooting just full frame. But yes, if the 35, if the 10 to 18 goes on, it'll activate automatically. If I need it a bit wider, I just turn it off and use it at 12mm. Kyle said, do you have any experience with the Rockion 50 1.4 AF trying to get a decent 50mm weddings for under 1,000? No, I haven't used that lens. Thanks so much, Lance. Really appreciate that donation. Kyle, I haven't used that lens. The reason why I don't tend to use them for video particularly is they can be noisy with their AF. They work pretty well now, especially if you can get the latest updates, but you need to get the dock to upgrade those lenses. To be totally honest with you, I would save and I'd get the 55 1.8, but that's what I'd be getting if I was dealing with wanting to get fantastic autofocus in low light, and it's also a beautiful lens. I'd get the 55 1.8 that I just showed you. I'd save up and get that. Lance said he appreciates the vids. Well, thanks so much, Lance. Really appreciate you donating there. Gerald said, seems you have gone away from the 35 using the... No, well, I very rarely use the gimbal, Gerald, the 35 on the gimbal because it's too heavy. I haven't got it with me here. It's in the other part of the studio. The 35 1.4 is way too heavy on the gimbal. I can use the 35 f2.8. But to be honest, I've been loving the feeling of the 1.8. I've been loving that depth of field that I'm getting. These new cameras used to have issues shooting wide open when you were dealing with video. I've found that the Sony handles it really well now. The A9 and the a7 III work incredibly well, grabbing focus at 1.8 on the gimbal, and particularly with the 55. I've still said before that I believe the 55 is the fastest focusing lens and the best focusing lens that Sony have. And that's just from my testing and all the lenses that I've used before. I've found that that by far is the best for that scenario. So I'm really liking using that lens. The problem is sometimes it's a bit too long if you're dealing with shooting indoors. Well, then I'll go to the 35 or the 10 to 18 because I need to shoot wider. But I am really enjoying using the 55 on video particularly because I just love the look that that lens is giving me. It's just beautiful. I love the compression. It's very sharp. The autofocus is beautiful on it. Yeah, that's the reason basically why I've sort of switched over, Gerald. So I have changed, and I'm changing all the time. I'm liable to switch to something else later on, but at the moment, particularly that 55 with that ProMaster ND is my favourite setup on the a7 III for being on the gimbal. Oreo said, Kyle Sharp Studios, I have the Rocky M50 1.4 with the latest firmware. Focus is very fast, but for video recording, the Sony 55 still has the edge. Yeah, and you love, I know Oreo said that he loves that lens as well, but yeah, it's just for the focusing for video for me is so important, and that 55 is so good at doing it. And it's dead silent, and it's so small, so it will focus so fast. So do we have any last questions, guys? Otherwise, it's my time to head out for a coffee. Cheers. I'll have a couple of videos up soon of Kiara, obviously, from those shoots. You'll start to see those being posted. Please join my photography group, the Photography and Videography School. I'm just going to plug that before we go, just so that you can see that. I think I've got it open somewhere. There. Please join us in this group, because this is for you guys. And basically, I've just posted a video here the other day, which I've discussed a image where I've basically asked you to combine two images together. It was something that I posted on YouTube. I've added the raw images into a folder on Dropbox that you can have a look at. And basically what I want you to do is combine the image, have a go at doing it, and the winner for the week will actually get put as the header folder. That's what has been done here. I offer competitions each week and give tasks basically that people can try. But we're now over 1,200 members. It's growing extremely fast. So join us in here. It's very positive. You can share any of your business stuff that you want to share in here. You can share your YouTube videos. You can share your Instagram feeds, whatever you like. The only thing you can't do, it's limited at the moment to 3 images a day, and I might change that soon to let you upload whatever you like, but it's 3 images a day. The only thing you can't do is broadcast live to it, because that's basically left for me to do. That's the only restriction I've got on there. So please join us in there, because it's a great place that we can expand all of our knowledge together for you guys, and I've set that up for you guys. And it's called the Photography and Videography School, and I'll put the link down below if you did want to join that, guys. So if you just search Photography and Videography School, you'd find it as well. Let's just finish off for the questions before we go. Where are we? Kyle said, I do 90% photos, so I think that's okay. If you do, Kyle, the 51.4 would be fantastic for you. Stacey Miller said, I purchased a third-party charger and a second Sony. If its battery seems great to me. These batteries last so long, I'm blown away. I know the difference in these batteries is unbelievable. I can't believe how much... it would be worth the upgrade alone just for the battery. Honestly, it would really be worth the upgrade alone just for that battery. Neil said, I've heard you say that you have used the Moza Air. Yeah, and it does. The Moza Air is brilliant. It's the best gimbal I've ever used, and I've tried stacks. I've tried well, everything basically out there, because I go to the store all the time down here and tried them. What's the other big one that's out there all the time? Someone might be able to chime in that you see, or Zune or whatever it is. I've found this is by far the best gimbal I've ever had. The auto tuning alone is unbelievable. I can just change the camera, press 2 buttons on the gimbal and it auto-tunes. The remote control is fantastic on it. It's very stable. Just check out the videos I've been posting with it, and I'm no expert at all. I'm a novice with using these gimbals. The Mozzie Air, and I'm not sponsored by them. Unlike a lot of people that do promote the stuff you see on YouTube, they're sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by Mozzie Aircross at all. They give me nothing. I've purchased that gimbal on my own, and it's stunning. If that failed, I would upgrade it tomorrow. I'm not using the handles or anything though. I'm just using the gimbal on its own. It's got replaceable batteries. It's just brilliant. What else? Before we finished, Sam said, is the 55 a good walk around street lens, or is it too narrow? No, 50 is fine if you like that focal length. 35 is still probably the perfect walk around street lens though. I still think 35 is the perfect lens because it's as your eye sees. And so the 35 is the perfect one for that. Stacey said, thanks again. Love it when I can catch you live. Thanks for watching, Stacey. Lance said, deleted Facebook account. Oh, okay. Dana said, thanks so much for everything you do, David. I won the recent header. Oh, you did? It was beautiful. And that's the one I just showed, Dana. Was a wonderful challenge, and thank you for offering your pictures. And that's what I do. I post my pictures up, and then people can edit the raw files unretouched. So they're basically raw, and then they edit them and retouch them, and I choose the winner each week. Oreo said, is the Moser Aircross or Moser Aircross? It's the Moser Aircross that I'm using, Oreo, and I adore it. Like I don't rave about many things where I really do absolutely adore it. That one for me has been a game changer in the way that I can shoot. It's stunning, and it's $400 or some ridiculous thing for what you're getting. It's by far the best gimbal I've used. If you do want to purchase it, I've got the links down below in the gear that I use. Jared said, you don't use GM lenses. Is that mainly because of the weight? Yes, it is. It's just the weight. It's not the price. It's nothing to do with me apart from weight, Jared. And I do particularly just love to use the primes. But having said that, I'm really happy with the 70-200 f4. That for me is perfect, and I used that yesterday, and again, it's given me gorgeous results. I don't need the f2.8 version. I'm really quite happy with the f4 version of that lens, and it's the weight for me that's the thing that matters. And I really do think the f4, particularly the 70-200, is underrated. Gene said he got the Rocky on dock from the UK. Yeah, it's hard to get from some places. Yeah, Ken said the 55 is not cheap. It's not, but it's certainly worth it, Ken. It is a great lens. What's the difference between the Air and the Air Cross? I'm not sure. I've only used the Air Cross. I haven't used the Air. That's the one I haven't used because I think the Air was I think it's a smaller, more handheld version, Jose. And that's the thing with the Air Cross. It fits more my style of doing photography and videography at the same time. I think the Air is built for bigger cameras. All right, guys, time for a coffee. I think I've been going for well over an hour. Yeah, I have 1 hour, 7 minutes. I'm going to get in trouble again. Stay tuned for all the images. Stay tuned if you've got Facebook for Kiara, because I will post some of her sneak peeks. I'll edit some and post some of those as well. It's been a pleasure to talk to you guys again, everyone, and I'll see you all again soon for the next video. So, bye for now.